Welcome to The Modern Engineer, hosted by Syed Ishad. This show goes beyond surface level career advice, exploring how senior engineers and technical leaders build leverage, navigate complexity, and position themselves for long term success.
All right, welcome to the Modern Engineer. I'm Syed Ishad, and today I'm joined by my guest, Afzal Fazal, who is a lead EMC engineer. Before we dive in, can you give a little context on what your role looks like today, Afzal, and what you're primarily responsible for?
Yes, sure, Syed. First of all, thank you for having me on for today. I appreciate it. Gonna talk to you and all the others who listen and tune in. So, as you said, I am a lead EMC engineer. What I do is I am in charge of the engineers and technicians in the areas that I work with. So we test different products and make design modifications on products that other companies they're selling to their customers. Like it could be anything from residential to commercial to industrial. Basically, we're testing to make sure that everything is in compliance, that there's these things that they have to go off of, right? Regulatory requirements and make sure that they meet those regulatory requirements as they're being tested. And if they cannot meet it, we help the companies and the customers make design modifications on their products and prototypes, so that way they can meet the regulatory requirements to actually sell their products. And yeah.
Very cool, very cool. A lot of testing. So, what I was gonna ask is, how did you start out in your career? Like, what does the journey look like for you?
Since college or after college?
Um, Post college.
Post college, okay. So, as you know, I don't know if viewers know that we actually went to school together, engineering school, at our alma mater for Southern Poly, or now it's Kennesaw State. Um, so after college, I started working as a contractor for AT&T, with a company called Tech Mahindra. And I did a lot of RF network testing where cellular towers, making sure those were in compliance. And then I did that for about a year and a half or so. And then I moved on to a company called Scientific Trends, where I did basically where I started my regulatory work for electromagnetics. Um, so I was working, like as I described in the beginning, working to make sure that companies they meet those regulatory requirements. I was testing different things. I was doing compliance testing with noise level testing, interference testing, battery testing, as well. Um, so I was there for about 2.5 years, and then along came COVID, and that changed up a lot of things. And that because I was in Georgia, and then I moved to Arizona, and worked for a company called Compliance Testing. Similar work that they did with just like Scientific Trends. And I also did some medical device testing as well there. And I was doing quality management work too, to make sure that the equipment that we use to test other people's products are also within compliance and within tolerance. And then I did that for 2 years, and then I went with Honeywell, um, where I've been at since, and doing again these different types of testing with electrical ground support equipment, with electrical control units and auxiliary power units. Um, so just doing again, my thing has involved testing most of my career so far, but there's also some design modification work that I do as well if the product that I'm testing cannot meet those regulatory requirements.
Very cool, very cool. You mentioned COVID. That actually ties into this next question I'm going to ask you is what challenges did you face along the way and what did you learn from that?
Like personal challenges and professional challenges.
Uh it could be professional or personal.
Okay.
Generally we try to leave personal life
Okay.
outside of impacting professional life?
Sure. So professionally, there were challenges faced during COVID. So again, COVID changed a lot of things for many people, especially in different industry and an economy as well. Um, so I know there were a lot of sectors that were greatly more affected than others. Thank goodness, some of the engineering sector, we weren't affected as much. So my work wasn't that affected because we had a backlog of stuff originally, and then when I first started, it didn't affect that much, but it started to about 3 to 4 months in, and there was some just some challenges that the company faced, uh, and because we had lost some of our customers too because they weren't doing any testing. They didn't know what the outcome of COVID would be, on the other side. So, our customers decided to pull out, not just with us, but with other companies as well, because they just didn't know what was going because of the economical impact that COVID would eventually have or could have.
Yeah, definitely a strong time of uncertainty. Goods and bads arising out of it. That's good insight. I definitely had some challenges during COVID myself, but it was a moment of uplifting and career transition for me as well. So what I was gonna ask you is, in terms of transition, what was the pivotal moment that changed your career trajectory? For example, was there a project, an assignment, or something like a presentation you did for a customer, or was it something else? What really changed the pivot in your career, the catapult, you would say?
I think what really pivoted my career is again, through my company audits. It's rare to hear that, but well, that I getting audited, right, it's a natural thing. Like it happens to everyone. Not myself personally, but
Yeah.
like in a professional business setting. So the labs that I've worked with, they've had to go through audits, right, to make sure that our lab was a requirement to our testing bodies that were actually accrediting our labs to make sure we can then test for our customers and the products that they design and build. So right before COVID hit, when 2020 had started, we had our audit that came up, and my thing of that audit was to make sure that everything was in compliance, that our equipment was good, that we knew our testing knowledge, we knew our where to get our stuff. Um, and with that, I had to basically I had been in the company for about 2 years now at that point, and they had a previous audit before they hired me. Um, so um, my I was training with my manager, doing audit testing, and now it's sort of like a test for me to to see what I know, right? Um, what I know about the work that I do, the industry that I work in. So even with that, I think end of December we had some projects as well where it was a good practice for those audits. And then when the audit actually came, uh, when the auditor came, our manager was like, doing a lot of the quality management. Um, of course, as managers too, I, as the test engineer, was ensuring that I knew that what I and my technicians and another engineers that we knew, what we were doing, that we could let, the auditor know that yes, our lab is in compliance and we are competent. We are not only competent but also proficient in what we do to ensure that we can continue, testing. And at the end of the auditor asked very tough questions, and then again, it was like to make sure what we had known, especially for me personally, what I had known for the past 2 years, what I was working with, and let's just say the audit went really well, and it was basically one of the best audits he's ever seen, thanks to me and my engineering team. And I guess personally for me was because it ensured to me that yes, I am understanding, what it is that I'm doing. Because with engineering, it's not just like with testing and engineering, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people outside of the industry assume that we follow a process. Yes, and that is every industry follows this process, but it's really about, do you understand, right? Um, the deep level understanding of what you do, and in a lot of industries, that's not really the case, right? Even in the engineering industry, uh, half the time that's not the case, and I can see why people made assumptions. But with like these kind of projects and um, just not just auditing, but just going for checkpoints and stuff, it really does tone on you to make sure that you do have a deep level understanding of what it is that you're actually doing, and that you can not only understand but appreciate uh the work that you do, and that and also that the company can understand and appreciate the work that they do for their customers as well.
Very cool, very cool. Yeah, this audit, what changed after this audit that you didn't expect? What do you have more of? What do you have less of? Because it sounds like you got like a promotion, you have a whole team under you. It seems like you got a lot more recognition after this audit. What would you say to that?
Yeah, that and not only that, like our team actually got like let's just say recognized by the company as well, because it wasn't just me, even though I was overseeing a lot of the testing side of it. And we worked together as a team. Um, and yeah, after the audit, we ensure that we can continue being a good team, as well. That we can, because it's not just about knowing what you're doing, but it's also about working along together. And that's what we also proved to the auditor, that yes, we are a team, that we work alongside each other to make sure that that we uplift each other, but we also help each other out in areas that that we know, or that we need improvement. Um, that nobody's actually being left behind in the success of the team. And after the audit, for me personally, it gave me a better understanding of what it is to what actual teamwork is, and also areas of improvement, like what I did well, and there are a couple of areas of improvement and quality wise that that I could also work on, and that I did work on. Um, so, and our auditor was, even though he had very tough questions, he was also very fair, and also he was also very uplifting as well. He was also very motivating to us. If let's say if there was something quality wise that we did, or testing wise, made sure that we did. He didn't, make us feel like that we were just workers. He made us feel like we were engineers and technicians, and that we all, not just in our team, but even people who audit, that we want to make sure that we all work and progress towards the same goals.
Very cool. Very nice. Well, so what I was gonna ask you is, how does someone listening achieve your level of success? Like, was this organic or was it more strategic for you? Did it all just kind of fall into place? Did you have to grind? How does someone get to where you are?
Sure, it's like you said, right? It was strategic, but it was also being at the right place at the right time too, a combination of that. So like in college, we really had to grind, right? And in our
Yeah.
bachelor's and our graduate level programs too. That was I still remember those long hours that we worked on in college. But post college, being in the industry, yes, when I started off, like I said, I was a contractor, and I really had to work a lot. I had to be there. I had to make sure that I was responsible enough, that I was dedicated, um, and held myself accountable, not only to the company standards but to my own as well. Because when I first started, I was a field engineer. I had to travel mainly between Georgia and Florida.
Oh
Um,
man, that travel.
oh yeah, the engineering travel. And so like for me, it was all about a grind because I had to, let's just say, there was not just traveling, but even those long work hours because I was working anywhere from 70 to 90 hours a week, right? Even 100 hours as well,
That's
just
pretty
because
nutty.
of the travel. Um, I was working like 12 to 14, no, actually 14 to 16-hour days, and then sometimes on a Saturday as well. I used to like wake up like my work week used to start off at waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning, like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning on a Monday morning, and getting ready, and then traveling to from Atlanta, where I lived at that time, and go all the way to like Orlando or Tampa and start work at like 11 a.m., 10 a.m. to about 10 to 11 a.m. on a Monday, and then just keep working through as well. And of course, I had my lunch and my snacks in the car. And of course, I made stops as well as I was traveling to the work site. Um, and just starting my work, making sure I was focused, making sure my things were ready to go, my equipment was ready to go, made sure that scheduling was there and everything. And the Monday was sort of late for me because I usually got done at around 8 to 9 p.m. And then I also had to work with a partner as well. Like it wasn't just me; it was I had to work with other field engineers, and then yeah, I had to do handovers, and then they used to work their hours, and then I used to get up again around like 6, 7 a.m. and start work again, and then repeat that, and then keep repeating that until on a Saturday working for about half a day, and then traveling back to Georgia, and not reaching home until like midnight to 2 a.m. Or 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. Saturday night to Sunday morning. And Sunday was sort of my relaxed day, making sure I'm caught up with everything and making sure I'm preparing for the next week. And and there's a lot of scheduling that goes on too, right? Like making sure I book my hotels, my rental car, making sure everything that is up to date, making sure I have the food that I need, the clothes that I have, right? Just your travel arrangements, um, and just keep going. And then, I mean, that was sort of the beginning of my career. And as I progressed, and let's say I moved on to different roles, right? EMC, I didn't have to travel as much. Actually, the travel was extremely less than compared with my contract with AT&T. And we just, kept going, right? I was working along with different team members. I was learning new concepts. I was asking a lot of questions about stuff that I didn't know. And of course, even though we're engineers, there's a lot of things, right? Not just everybody does not know everything, but there's a lot of things that we as engineers don't even know about our, engineering discipline because there's a whole variety of it, and it's just so much to all learn it within 4 to 5 years of college. Um, so there was like a learning curve to that as well, and again, you have to do it strategically, but you have to, like you said, keep grinding. You have to ask those questions, and you have to have sometimes you actually have to take even constructive feedback. A lot of people, even some engineers, are not very open about constructive feedback, and that's the thing, right? Like you're gonna get some good feedback and some constructive feedback, and that's because if you don't, right, how do you learn and grow? Without that constructive feedback, you don't truly learn and grow. And that's the main thing about any industry, but the engineering industry as well. You want to learn about new concepts. You want to grow as an engineer. You want to know not you want to know the whys. You want to know the how, not just the what. And you also want to know the when too. It's like a
Yeah.
lot of people don't know about that. So that's what I keep going for. That's what I would tell somebody. Do try your best. Do make sure not that you're not only a hard worker but a smart worker, because you not just have to be dedicated, but you have to be strategic. And that way you can do the work that that you hopefully enjoy doing and at least like it. And then and just keep on, not just moving up, as people say moving up, but just keep on progressing as an engineer. And of course, with that, the promotions hopefully come as well. But just keep progressing. So do it strategically, be a hard and smart worker, and do not give up.
Very good. Yeah, it's a mix of a lot of grinding, a lot of constructive criticism, and every day just has to be a learning experience. If you're not learning, then you're not progressing, essentially.
Correct. Yep.
Well, you know, it sounds like things are going well for you professionally, and often people reach a certain level of success, they start thinking more intentionally about the future. Things like flexibility, optionality, or even passive income to complement what they're already doing. Is that something you've thought about at all?
Yes. So as I went along in my career, there were some side hustles that I did as well, like working a second job, right? Well, part-time, basically part-time. Even in college, I think people in college have to these days have to work, several part-time jobs just because of the cost of attendance and everything. But even, due to right now the economic conditions and everything, uh, but also in a personal growth mindset. Uh, yes, some people on a regular job work 50 hours, right? 40 to 50 hours. Um, and then you keep thinking, yeah, like you brought up, like you have to think about what it is and what you want your future to be, right? And I say your future and not just the future because you make what your future is. So my thing was that I kept working, a second part-time job, and thankfully now I'm at that point where I don't necessarily need it personally, but it's a good thing to have extra, passive income as well. Work on, ideas that work with other people that and also that you want to not only know but that you want to know. Work with them and seeing what it is that you can do to help, sort of progress yourself, but what how it is that you can not only help yourself but also help others too. And that's where the passive income relies, right? It is when it's like when you go and do like a design a product. Yeah, your thing is that it's sort of like an income. I mean, it's a innovation and you use it as an income, but you need to have a market for that. And that's where a business mindset also comes in very handy. Um,
Yes.
and that's why a lot of like engineers who uh if they wanna, let's say, start a company or like a side hustle, right? That's why they get investors in, right? Like people go to like innovators, they go, let's say, to Shark Tank. They have a product that they have a product they believe that they're innovating, they believe it's a good market to do, but they just don't have the investment yet. That's why that's why they go to Shark Tank, they go to different these investors. Like they have the skill set to know, right, what it is. Like you have an invention. They have the engineers and technicians, they have the skill set to design an invention. Then the next step is innovation. How do you market? How do you market your invention? And then next is how do you get a funding for it? That's where the investments come in. Persuade how do you persuade and work alongside with other people, investors and different people, to make sure that your product and innovation come to light and not just work for you but also help others, you know the way that others need it. And that's really sort of how the economical market works as well.
Yeah.
But engineering itself is a little bit different because you're designing, right? Like my thing is testing, but you're basically making sure that who you're working with, your customers, right? That they're content enough that they know that they can trust you, so they can market their product. So you have to sort of work together as well. Again, it's not what you know, but who you know, but it's also the process of how you do it as well.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. Good to have investors on board and honestly just network,
And the
constantly
networking, yes.
networking. Can't stop networking after college. Needs to be continuous. Um, so what I was going to ask you, last question, Afzal, for meaning and perspective. If someone listening is earlier in their career but on a similar path, what's something you wish you understood sooner about success? What's something you wish you knew beforehand that you know now?
Well, I think we all have been designed this way. Like we all say that we have to, move up, right? We have to move up vertically or laterally. That we wanna, as we progress, that we move up. And yes, that is the case, to an extent. But if that's all that you focus on, then you're just, just doing it because, you get better benefits, right? You get better outside benefits. But as I learned throughout my career, that even when I started off, that was my mindset, right? And then I
Yeah.
sort of had like a different outlook in for my mindset, saying, like, because I worked in the corporate world too, and I was like, if I made it to the corporate world, right, I sort of made it, but that wasn't the case, because it can get boring in the corporate world. Yes, and it's stressful too. Everything has a stress, but corporate work can be stressful. The
Yeah.
corporate engineering life and everything. But how do you work on yourself, right? You're working to improve the company, yes, and you're working your skill set and you're learning at your organization or company. But how is it that you improve yourself? And that's one thing that I wish I had known when I started off my career, because that's at the beginning, that's not really something I was working on. Yes, in a uh, mindset of that I need to, keep on, grinding and, keep on climbing up that ladder to make sure I can get promotions. But that was the what, right? But and I knew sort of how to get there, but why was I doing it, right?
Yes.
What did it,
The why is important.
what was my personal benefit in that professional world? Uh, what is it that I could do? And that's something that within my current 10 years of in the industry that I sort of had to, sort of figure out. And, as where I am now, even still working for a corporate world, but I also um, do in a, personal, like I also do like a personal professional thing where I want to make sure that if I'm doing it for the company, that I learn and grow, and I know why I'm doing it, not just what. So again, you do stuff for the company so the company makes money and you get an income, but to be truly content and not just being successful, but being satisfied, right? To being satisfied, you do it as you do it for your own personal thing too, where you personally want to be in your career. Um, and how do you want to connect it? And that's another thing. Like you mentioned networking and connection. How do you want to connect? How do you connect the dots, right? How do you connect with others, and how do you just connect within your, inner, not just inner, but like yourself personally, just outward looking in. How do you grow as, how do you grow as a, like me for an engineer, but how do you grow as a young professional, right? Or even when you get an older professional. So that's something I wish I had known, like rather than just working for the company, which is good, but why was I doing it? If I could have had planned that earlier, it probably would have led to a little bit of a better personal experience for me.
Very good. Very good. Well, Afzal, heck of an interview, heck of a podcast. I think the viewers are really going to appreciate this. I
I sure
really
hope so.
appreciate you sharing your perspective today. Thanks for listening to The Modern Engineer. I'll see you in the next episode.
Thank you again, Syed and everyone.
Thanks for listening to this episode of The Modern Engineer with Syed Ishad. If this episode resonated, make sure to subscribe and share it with others. And if you bring a unique perspective on leverage and long-term positioning, you can learn more about being considered for the show in the links below.